I met Mac in the Blue Ribbon class that I took with Lovita and Bonnie. And, you know, some people just kind of have so much energy and so much kindness that you are just drawn to them. And this man, he is pure heart, pure heart. And he has a show, and I've been on his show a couple of times, and it's just so beautiful to be with him and to talk with him. So now I'm going to turn it over to you, Tim.
Sure. Thanks, Linda. And through Linda, I met Mac, of course, and he came to Mastery Circle. And so I went on his show, and then I started to find out more about him. Absolutely amazing. He helps the orphans. He gets food and clothing for the elderly, which maybe you can do someday for us, Mac. And and then quite amazingly, he helps kids get out of crime, and also young girls get out of prostitution, which is just amazing. He goes there and with his courage and heart helps these people. So what he wants to do is start a turnaround home, which is a place that the kids can come to, learn skills, get jobs. And it's so close to what they're doing at Homeboys that we said, we got to get Mac back here because they train people in the summer. Well, he couldn't get here this summer because, unfortunately, the embassy it's very tied up in Nigeria for people to come. And so it looked like he might not be able to get back for a couple of years. But damn it, we have to get him here next year. We got to figure a way to do this. Yeah. Mac, we're all going to hold that intention. We're going to talk to people. We got to find a way to get you here next summer so you can attend Homeboys, learn all you need to learn to start that turnaround home. So I think with that, I'll just turn it over to Mac. So glad to have you, Mac.
Mac, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Linda, Tim, and everybody here present. I am practically going to be shouting because the rain is falling and I need to shout for you to get the sound of my voice clearly. Well, I'm so glad to be here today. And whenever we speak on this platform, we are not speaking to the persons here present. We are speaking to millions and millions of people who will watch these Mastery Circle international videos on YouTube for years and years to come. If I were speaking to just the members of Mastery Circle, I would have very little to say because many of you are older than me and have lots of experience about almost everything. I am not here to teach, but to share my views on miracles, the mystery of miracles. First, mystery is something or a situation that is difficult or impossible to understand. It could also be a person whose ways are impossible to understand or explain. So we say things like, the man is a mystery, that man is a mystery, that person is mysterious. But my concentration is on miracles. I'll tell you a bit of what happens here in Africa. Now, a miracle is an extraordinary occurrence, a wonder, or a welcome event that cannot be explained by natural or scientific laws and is therefore attributed to the divine, a higher power, a supernatural power. Well, a miracle can also be an occurrence that brings a very happy outcome. So one can say it was a miracle that he fell from a 3-story building and survived, or a miracle that he survived that accident. Now, the most popular miracles we know about are the ones written in the Bible, performed by Jesus Christ, who is known to be half human and half divine. We read and hear stories of how Jesus made the blind to see, the lame to walk, and generally healed the sick. We also know that his disciples performed some great miracles. Now, there is a section in the Bible written by John. That would be John 14, verse 12. There, Jesus said, I tell you the truth. Anyone who believes in me will do the same things I have done, and even greater things, because I am going to be with my Father, with the Father. So this is where a lot of church leaders in Africa get it wrong. This may be happening in other parts of the world, but let me limit it to the area I know, Africa. Now, many people start churches, especially Pentecostal churches back here, not because they want to teach God's word and lead people to the path of goodness, the path of righteousness, but because they believe it is an easy way to make money. I am not being judgmental, but as I go on, you will understand. So they are concerned with the number of people they can attract to the church and not so much the number they want to lead to a good life. Now, as I move on, I will try to explain this further. The concentration, when you hear these people preach, is on prosperity sermons. So you hear pastors preaching about how you will be prosperous if you give church offering, you pay tithes, you sow seeds. They talk much more about giving, and you will receive. So in order to attract people to your church, you need to perform miracles. And so you hear adverts of crusades like, come, the blind will see, the lame will walk, and so on. And because there are lots of people who cannot afford medical bills, they see the church as an easy way out. At the end of it all, nothing happens. I have attended some of these crusades, and I did not see anything extraordinary. But you will hear people coming up to give testimonies of how they got healing. These are things we cannot prove. People will be excited if a blind man suddenly sees, or a lame man suddenly walks at a crusade or a church or anywhere. And if there is proof that this person was actually lame or blind, but I have never seen such. I've never seen any of such occurrence anywhere. Because people are looking for miracles as an easy way out for health issues, you see a situation where a disabled person is taken to a church. If he does not get a miracle from church ABC, the family takes the person to church XYZ and the movement continues. I also know of situations where, because some pastors are looking for members, they start faking miracles, especially here in Nigeria. Remember, I had earlier said that some people start churches because they want to make money. And the more people they have, the more money they get from tithes, from seeds, and so on. So they fake miracles. Some ministers have been arrested here because they faked miracles and it got exposed. So how do they do this? A minister or his cohorts can travel to a faraway city, meet with a homeless man or some poor beggar, arranges with that person to travel to the town where the church is and attend a church service. Then during what they call a healing session, the person will pretend to be blind or even sit on a wheelchair and pretend to be lame or whatever. Then the pastor will utter some words and the person will jump up and say, I can see or I can walk. The news will be circulated around and many people will start attending the church with real disabled situations and nothing will happen. But then there are people who will just be carried away by the news of some miracle that took place in the church and they start attending that church. We have situations where people have pretended to be sick or people who pretended to be sick exposed the whole thing because they feel they were not well paid for faking or were not paid the agreed amount. We have had many situations like this here in Nigeria. There are situations where people will come to a church and pretend to be possessed with an evil spirit. The pastor will do some drama and the person will pretend to be free from the evil possession. Like I said before, sometimes these fake acts are exposed. There is even the story of a South African pastor, Alf Lukau, who claimed to have resurrected a man from the dead. This happened just very recently, 2 years ago or so. He got a poor guy from somewhere, paid him some money, and the guy pretended to be dead. He was placed in a casket, and the casket was carried in a hearse to the front of the church. The pastor came out, and after some drama, the man rose up and walked into the church. Well, you just can't fool all the people all the time. That was going too far. Indeed, there was a great scandal, and the police came into the situation. So some people have been brainwashed to believe that a pastor can do the unusual. And these pastors keep reminding the people that Jesus had said, if you have faith, you will do greater things. I'll come back later to this again. But the miracles actually happen in our world. Yes, they do. There are many situations where people have been miraculously healed. I have a lot of respect for the Catholic Church when it comes to miracles. Before an act is termed a miracle in the Catholic Church, it must have undergone thorough investigations. For example, in the canonization process, a miracle must always occur. Some kind of miracle must occur spontaneously, and it should have lasting remission of a serious life-threatening medical condition. The healing must have taken place in ways that the best informed scientific knowledge cannot account for. And these miracles come after prayers, asking for the intercession of a holy person. It is natural for thoughtful people to object to the claimed supernatural origin of some of these events. Now, in the Catholic Church, a medical board of independent scientific experts are appointed to investigate a claimed miracle. They begin by looking for purely natural explanations, and they review the medical history of the person. And such an occurrence is only said to be a miracle after it has been proven beyond reasonable doubt that the said miracle would have only occurred through divine intervention. Now, there is the example of a young Nigerian woman. Her name is Philomena Nana, who was healed of an advanced cancer after touching the relics, the casket of Blessed Father Cyprian Tansi. Now, Father Tansi was a saintly Nigerian Catholic monk who died at Mount St. Bernard Abbey in Mount St. Bernard Abbey, England. The young woman, could not get up easily. She found it difficult to eat or drink. She was suffering from seemingly terminal cancer at the Holy Rosary Specialist Hospital here in Onitsha, where I live. When the remains of Father Tansi was brought back, she requested to touch the casket. That was way back in 1986. She asked to touch the casket. And after doing that, she said it was like a bag of cement melted in her stomach. She felt completely well again. Of course, the Catholic Church will not just get excited. There was thorough investigations. Yes, thorough investigations took place to be sure it was truly a miracle. Her medical history was checked, and to cut a long story short, it was agreed that her healing could only have happened through divine intervention, through divine healing via the intercession of Father Cyprian Tansi. Indeed, I was present at the beatification of Father Tansi by Pope John Paul II in 1998. Here at Onitsha. There are many other situations like this, but the church, the Catholic Church, must carry out thorough investigations. Now, there are some churches where some unusual things actually happen, but I will not be quick to call them miracles. I do know that some pastors, because they want many members in their churches, they get involved in magic. They deal with dark forces. and make unusual things happen. Now, let me make this clear. Magic can be put in two major groups: illusions and the use of demonic power, sorcery, witchcraft, and the like. Now, illusion is mostly used for entertainment. Now, the people watching an illusionist know he is playing tricks, but they are happy because they cannot figure out what he or she is doing. Now, I am talking about the magic that is a synonym to witchcraft, sorcery, the use of demonic powers. Yes, there are some ministers who get involved in this because they want to attract members. So they want to use, black power to do some unusual things. And because they are practicing this magic in a religious environment, people see it as miracles. Many ministers have been caught with fetish stuff on them, or even placed in certain areas of their church. Miracles. What then is a miracle? And what did Jesus mean when he said, anyone who believes in me will do the same great works I have done, even greater works? This can be seen from different angles. It could mean you will preach to greater audiences. It could mean you will spread the message of love to different parts of the world. It could also mean you will perform more divinely inspired works, miracles. Yes, it could also mean that. So are these greater miracles happening in our world today? Yes. They may not be exactly the same way Jesus performed miracles, how he made the blind to see, the lame to walk. Are these things happening today? The answer again is yes. They are happening, and we are so familiar with them that we do not even realize that they are happening through divine intervention, through divine guidance. It was the divine, it was a higher power who put thoughts in a person's head that he or she can make the blind to see. And that person walked with that thought. And today it has reached a level. So a person has eye problems and can't see or can't see well. Eye experts, medical eye experts carry out operations, and that person starts seeing. For me, that is a miracle. A person is lame, so he or she cannot walk. Medical experts study the situation and perform surgery. And after a period of time, the person starts walking. He may not be walking normally like a person who was born without defects, but he is walking. And for me, that's a miracle. I remember many years ago, as a young child growing up, there was a boy who could not walk. He was going on all four. He was creeping. Then suddenly he disappeared from the community. Years later, I saw the boy walking. Sure, he was not walking like me. He had some metal stuff, attached to his feet. And the metal stuff was also attached to some kind of special shoes. He also walked with the aid of crutches, but he was walking with his legs. And for me, that is a miracle. A woman goes to give birth, and for any reason, she cannot give birth through the normal way. Surgeons cut her open, remove the child, sews the woman up, the child lives. The mother lives. For me, this is a miracle. It was the divine that put the thought in the head of somebody. That, what we know today as cesarean section began with somebody being divinely inspired. It has developed, and today we are familiar with it. And we think it's okay. Okay, she was, operated upon. She gave birth through cesarean section. But these are wonderful acts. These are miraculous acts. Apart from health, so many great things are happening around us. But we grew up and met these things. We take them for granted. You are Americans. Most of you are. When George Washington was elected president of America, people had to move around the country on horseback to spread the news. Today, as the results are coming out, everybody around the world gets to know. We are familiar with these things and we take them as normal. Look at me. I'm in Africa, far, far away from all of you. At this moment, I'm speaking, and all of you are seeing me, and you are hearing me. For me, this is a miracle. We take some of these things for granted, but it was God who inspired somebody to start this process, and today we are where we are. We have to be grateful to God or any higher power we believe in for these wonders. When it comes to health, I have used my platform to tell people that prayer is the ultimate. Yes. But when we are sick, we should go to hospital and not to church. We should see a doctor and not a pastor. That does not mean I am excluding the church. Not at all. What I mean is that as much as we go to church, we go to temple, we go to the mosque, wherever to pray and also request for God's blessing, we should also see a doctor for specific situations. Even Jesus Christ, in a comment recorded in the book of Mark, chapter 2, verse 17, said that those who are healthy have no need for a doctor. It is the sick. So Jesus was aware of the work of the doctor. He could have said, just pray and forget the doctor. Still in the Bible, in the book of Sirach, some people call that same book Ecclesiasticus. It is written that give doctors the honor they deserve. For the Lord gave them their work to do. Their skill came from the Most High, and kings reward them for it. Their knowledge gives them a position of importance, and powerful people hold them in high regard. The Lord created medicines from the earth, and a sensible person will not hesitate to use them. So prayers are good. When we are sick, we pray that we will be guided to the right physician, the right doctor. And the physician, while he or she works, prays that the result will turn out well. The sick person will be healthy again. That is why I appreciate the old churches, like the Catholic Church, the Anglican Church. I think they are known in America as Episcopalians, churches like the Baptist, Presbyterian, the old churches. They have hospitals. They could just say, oh, let's pray, you are sick, let's pray. But they have hospitals. So when some pastors of some recent churches here in Nigeria or Africa, part of Africa, make it sound as if when you are sick, all you need is faith and the screaming of a minister or church members and you'll be healed, I think they are ignorant. I remember some years ago, I went to a community where I stayed at the house of a minister friend. He had traveled for some days. So one early morning, he called and asked if I could join some of his church members to go and pray for a girl who was very sick. I was available, so I went. I went with the church members. The girl was lying on a bed with dirty bed sheets. Indeed, the room was dirty and not well ventilated. The girl, about 15, was lying on the bed, weak and worn out. So I asked if she has been taken to hospital. The mother said no. Why? I asked. She said no money. Well, you could see that the old single mother was quite poor. So I said, this girl has to be taken to hospital. There was some mild opposition from those who had come with me, the church members. There was some mild opposition. Maybe they felt I was going to ask them to make financial contributions to the girl's hospital bills. So one of the church members said, let's pray. There is nothing God cannot do. So we prayed. But at the end of the prayer, I told the mother of the girl, please, help her get a warm bath. Change the sheets on the bed. Give her something to eat. I will give you some small amount of money to at least go see a doctor in the nearby hospital. I gave the woman 2,000 naira. Not the same thing like $2,000. 2,000 naira at that time was about $6. It is really not much money. But to cut a long story short, the girl was taken to the hospital and malaria drugs were prescribed, and the girl felt better within days. I think if we had just prayed and left, the situation would probably remain the same. It is the same thing with mental health situations. Mental health is not popular here in Nigeria. When a person starts showing signs of mental health, most unenlightened people conclude that the sick person is possessed with a spirit. So instead of going to see a mental health therapist or a psychiatrist, the person is taken to church, where maybe an unintelligent or unenlightened pastor starts to scream, and commanding the evil spirit to get out of the person. That's ignorance. God can use anybody to perform miracles. All we need is to try to be at peace with God. That is, we avoid evil. When we are in this state, we may pray for somebody to get well, and the person gets well without us even knowing that our prayers play the role. Prayers work wonders, but these wonders come about through the decision of God. So when I hear pastors back here saying, come to the crusade, come to the crusade, come to the church service, the sick will be healed, the blind will see, I ask, is it the pastor's decision for healing to take place, or it is God's decision? Well, miracles are answered prayers. There are some situations you pray about something and the results turn out good. So good that it could only have been through the intervention of the divine. I'll tell you a story while I prepare to round off. Many years ago, about 2 decades ago, I felt I should leave Nigeria and live in another country in Africa known as Ghana. It was a more peaceful country. I heard beautiful stories about the country. Their movie industry was just developing. And I heard somebody coming from Nigeria, the biggest movie country in Africa, I will have a better chance to maybe work as a script writer or an actor or something. So I was working at a company. I resigned. I sold everything I had. I gave away what I could give. And can you hear me?
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
All right. So I sold everything I had and I left for Ghana. Now I was staying at a place in Accra known as YMCA, big hostels. You may have YMCA in America. Now, big hostels, single rooms, rooms for 2 people, rooms for 4 people. YMCA established these places to help travelers. So I knew I was going to stay there for about 2 weeks and I'll be able to come up with a job or something, but I had enough money. Now, in those days, it was not like today. If I want to come to America or you want to come to Africa, there's a way you can come with just your credit card and you'll be able to get money from here when you arrive. In those days, you travel with the money. So I had all my money with me, even though I had changed the money into dollars and pounds. So I went to Ghana. I was at the YMCA. I was staying in a room with 4 people, not knowing that one of the persons was a thief. So one evening, 4 of us, we went out just to have some time together and get to know ourselves. One person who was brought in by another person left us and came back, got the key from the receptionist, went to the room and ransacked all our bags and stole all my money. The only thing I had left was what it was in my pocket. We waited for him. He didn't come. We said, well, he's a grown-up guy. He will come back home. We went back home, and my friends, my money was gone. And then so many suicidal thoughts entered my head. I mean, imagine it. Your life savings gone in a strange country. You know nobody. So terrible thoughts entered my head. But then I became a beggar. I was moving from church to church begging. And what most of the pastors were saying was, you guys from Nigeria, that's how you come to this country. And you start telling stories. Oh, you guys from Nigeria, you are all crooks. You are all, so many funny stories. I became a beggar. And then somebody told me about a priest in a faraway city that he's a good man. If I see him, he will help me. I met the priest, told him my story. And the first story for me, but he couldn't do much. He simply gave me some small money and said, you Nigerians, we are scared of you people. You have done so much harm in our country and so on. So I went out to the streets and I was just wondering. I didn't know what to do. But I was praying that God, all my money is gone. I beg you, let me just be able to go back to my country. Let me just be able to find a way to go back to where I came from. And then I was passing beside a Franciscan monastery. And I said, let me just walk in. I walked in and I said to the priest, please, this is what I've gone through, but I am not here to beg for money. I am here to beg to use your phone. In those days, it was hand phone, the land phone. To use your phone and call my relations in Nigeria so that, however, they can find a way to send some money to me to come back. I went. The priest tried to call the number I gave him from my small diary, and it was not going. So he came back and said, I'm sorry, Mark, the number is not going. But hold on. He went in, came out, and gave me an envelope. I thanked him and left. When I got to a place, I stopped and counted the money. It was huge. It was enough to take me back to Nigeria. I knelt down and I said, God, this is a miracle. You worked a miracle. And that's how I came back to Nigeria and then started life all over again. And today I'm alive and today I'm fine. So for me, that's one miracle I will never forget. I want to wrap up now with this story. If you look, it's dark. There's no light. But, I'm in an office. I'm in a hall. It's a big hall. I used to have an office at a church compound, but the church took over the office and said they were going to use it as a temporary site for their university. So we left. And I was going around looking for a new office to use for my project. And it took months, but I was praying and saying, God, surprise me. God, give me a good office. God, give me a fine office. So one day, speaking to the Reverend Father of this radio station, I was telling him, I really need an office. I was not asking him to give me an office. I was just telling him what I was going through. And he said, well, we have a new building. This used to be the newsroom of the radio house. But we have a new building. And he said, since we are moving to the new building, why don't you use one of the rooms at the radio house? And that's how, after months of looking for an office, it was given to me, big hall with a reception right where I am working. And for me, that's a miracle. So miracles must not be when the blind sees or the lame walk, because doctors are taking care of these things. Miracles are the prayers we pray, the good things we do to others in answer to their prayers. I will stop here so that we can have some little time to say one or two things. But I want to thank you for your kind attention and for always giving me the wonderful opportunity to share my views about certain situations. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Mac, would you take some questions from people? Would you be able to do that?
I will.
Yeah.
Tim.
Yeah. Hey, Mac, could you talk a little bit about your vision for the turnaround home, what you were thinking, what you were anticipating, and so forth? Because my sense is it's divinely inspired, like you were talking about, and it could produce miracles for other people. So would you mind saying a few words about it?
Yes, we are already doing some things. We are already doing some things. There are volunteers of our project, of the Mark Davis Charity Foundation, who are already training young boys. One is training young boys to be car repairers, mechanics. Another one is training young girls to make hair. But then we're looking at a circumstance where we could have a home where counselors, mental health experts could help these young people, because now they are scattered. Mechanic workshop over there, hairdressing salon somewhere else, tailoring shop somewhere else. But if we could have a central office where, you know, volunteers are trained, volunteer counselors come to talk to the young people, it will be wonderful. And that's the dream of having a kind of a central office. But as for now, we are working, we are doing things, yes.
Mac, I have a question. I know you do a radio show, and there are a lot of really great people in this audience. And I'm thinking that many of them would be very honored to be on your show. So can you tell us a little bit about your show? And maybe I'll put something in the chat.
Yeah? All right. The show is called Blue Ribbons Inspirations. I began the show after being part of the Blue Ribbons training. I met some lovely people like Lovetta, like Bonnie Janowski, like Linda. And I felt like, why not start up something where you could bring up Blue Ribbons ambassadors to speak and tell the world the difference they are making, and also inspire people to make a difference. But then I realized that apart from Blue Ribbons ambassadors, there were so many other people who are not ambassadors who are making a difference. So I brought them in. And this program takes place on Saturdays at 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So whatever difference you are making, I was talking to Bill Hubberston Davis. We had a great time talking about comedy and inspiring young people who want to become, you know, entertainers. So I spoke with Bonnie, I spoke with Tim, who greatly inspired people. Indeed, Tim has been scheduled to be on the show on the 5th of August. I had meant to write to others, but, you know, it will be gradual. So I don't know if there's any more I should say.
Yes, you should say more. You should.
So please, Amy, I would like to have you on the show. Talk about poetry, inspire young people to, you know, write poems. Paul, Bonnie Walker, you do a great job. You also have great poetry. If I don't call your name because I'm not seeing you on my screen, Mary Grace, we could do a wonderful show together. Everybody here present. I will drop some details with Mary Grace, how you can get in touch. And I'll also send a calendar as from August. Look around and pick a date. Let's have some fun. Just 30 minutes on a Saturday, and it will be great.
You know, Mac is a wonderful host, and he brings what you didn't know you wanted to say out of your mouth. He's very, very good. He's very good. He's very good.
I'm sure.
So everyone here has their own journey. And Amy wants to be on. Yeah, Amy wants to be on.
Amy would be terrific.
So what do we do? Do you want me to put in your email address? How do you want to do this?
Yes.
Email, you know, maybe email to the whole mastery circle, because there may be people who would be interested in being on your show who are not with us. We only have a part of our group today.
All right.
And so it's the holiday.
That would be great. That would be great. And it goes by really quick. And, you know, it's a very heartfelt kind of moment for anybody who wants to talk on a show. It's really good. Bill, why don't you say something?
You mean about the show? I just, yeah, it was a great experience, and I appreciate that very much, Mac. You're putting me on the show and just to talk about things. One thing I liked was that you elicited from me advice for people, especially young people who in your audience, about what can they do? How can they go achieve this path if they want to? What would they do? And I found that was very practical, very helpful. So for anybody that was listening, I really get that sense that it is like there are some, I guess some, speakers, whatever, and they're doing their thing. You know what I mean? But the connection with the audience, help my audience understand, help them, that kind of thing. I really thought was wonderful. So thank you.
Thanks, Bill. And very quickly, I want to say, Bill and Amy, I know you made some contributions for our Sapientia magazine. That magazine has not been published for some reasons, but it will be published this year and you will get to know. Thank you for the contribution you made.
Glad to make the contribution.
Mac, it'd be a good idea in your email to send out information about your magazine. I'm not familiar with it, actually.
All right. Well, for now, it's a hard copy magazine, but we hope to make it a soft copy as the days roll on.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I think I just have 1 minute of my time remaining.
Pamela had a quick question, I think,
Pamela.
too.
All right.
Unmute, Pam. Got to unmute.
Okay, Matt, you have fabulous ideas. You have a fabulous heart, and it deserves that you make pauses when you are doing a presentation. Because you have a heavy accent, and I want to hear everything. I do have earphones, but please, I wrote you a note. Please check it in the chat regarding speaking, because you're diminishing your gift to us. The gift is huge, but I'm getting half a package. Okay, please pause between some of your ideas. When you talk with people here, I understand you. When you make a presentation, it's thunderclouds. Okay, please, you deserve that, please. Okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Levita, why don't you say something? And then Bonnie, why don't you say something?
Yes, thank you, Mac. How long is your program? When someone is going to speak, what are they looking at time-wise?
The program is 30 minutes.
All right.
Yes, and usually I call the person who is going to speak 10 minutes before to be sure the person is ready, and then 10 minutes after I put the call back and we are on air.
I see. And
what was the second question?
Well, I'm kind of trying to find a way to phrase it. I'm a big fan of smaller increments, not that I devalue or anything, big movements, but small individual acts of kindness and support. I loved when you shared last time that you took a young woman out to have like a break or beverage, and you just sat and talked to her and asked her questions. How often does that happen?
Not so very often, not so often. We have a small contribution we make, because when you take these young women out, you need to give them something. You pick them as prostitutes, you pick them as a customer. So you speak to them, tell them the disadvantage of what they are doing and the advantage of what how good it is if they change from these ways. Now, you pay them the money you would have paid them if you were actually going to do some crazy things with them. And then you also give them something. If they want to join you, fine. If they want to go on their own and do something, fine. So we do this, say, once in 3 months. We put together, we make some small contributions, and then 2 or 3 people go out and then pick 2 or 3 girls and we sit together. So it's like a quarterly something we do quarterly.
Did that lead to anything for a follow-up?
I want to get Bonnie in here.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
That's
Bonnie Janowski, please.
Just meeting, first of all, the Blue Ribbon Group is amazing. That meeting Mac and others, just so inspiring. Immediately drawn to Mac and everything that he does. He's just, I appreciate him so very much and look forward to meeting him in person, hopefully next summer to here in the Los Angeles area. I've been on his program, and yes, he guides us, and he's such just an inspiration and very energized, a very, very, very special person who is extremely appreciated in all that he does.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Thank you, Bonnie. Lavita, if you want to continue.
I just was wondering if there was any follow-up with the young woman that you did have an interlude with. And I understand she has to show something as the result of her time spent. And also to say, I really, really admire and appreciate your commitment, Mac. This is, to an outsider, it seems like a bottomless pit, but you've got to start somewhere. And your commitment to start in so many places is quite admirable. But did you ever follow up with that young woman, or did she contact you again?
Yes, we did follow up. We did follow up. Indeed, there are three more who are now learning how to make hair, and one learning how to sew clothes. So yes, we do follow up. And indeed, I was speaking to Grandma Sparky, and she said, instead of asking the girls, why are you doing this? Why are you into prostitution? Ask them, what was your dream for the future? What did you dream to become as a child? And based on that, you can help, you can grab them easily. And I'll be using that technique. So that's it.
Mac, do you want to say anything to the group? Because we're going to end very quickly.
All right. Okay. Thank you is all I want to say. We can be the answer to someone's prayers. Smile at somebody as you move around. That smile might just make them realize that, oh, the world is lovely and beautiful. All I want to say is thank all of you for all the support you have given, for the good wishes, for the good thoughts. You are all wonderful people. Let's continue to make a difference in our world. Let's continue to be a miracle in the life of some people. Thanks and God bless.
Thank you,
Thank you so much, Mac.